Have you ever felt confused about your branding? Well, you're not alone. And what's crazy is building an artist brand or a personal brand is one of the simplest things that people commonly overcomplicate. But what if I told you that branding is easy? And you could look at it the same way that you look at your reputation in high school or at your job, in your personal life, whatever the case is. And by the way, if you don't know who I am, I'm XO Xuded. I've gotten over 2 million streams on my original music, and I've had at least 5,000 monthly Spotify listeners for over 2 years without any paid promotion. And in this episode, I'm going to try to prove to you that with a little attention on intention, building a brand can be as simple as breathing. Your brand is just like your high school reputation. It's all about what others think and feel about you, whether they know you well or from a distance. People are going to define you and your brand based off of the information they get, whether they're your closest friend or they're just a stranger that passes by the street. Now, a stranger, they're not going to see too much. They don't know your name. They don't really even see your face probably too well. They might just take a quick glance at you, if any at all. You might just be in their peripheral vision as they pass you by. But again, thinking about this as far as like your high school reputation or the reputation you have at your job. When you're walking down the hallway, you might see your friend, you might see your best friend, but a lot of the kids that are walking by are just kind of like background people. It's kind of like when you're playing a video game and you got the little NPC players that are just kind of doing their thing in the background. You're not putting too much attention on them. And the same way that we do that to other people are doing that to us. In the same way that works on a personal level, it works for our brand as well. So again, looking at it in high school, you have different levels of people. If let's say there's different areas. The most extreme and far out version where most of the people lie can be the gray area. The people that just walk by and they don't really know who you are, but they might take a glance and come up with a definition of who you are in their own minds anyways. It might be something that they actually consciously think about, but more than likely it's just subconscious. As long as they don't see a threat or anything like that, they probably won't pay you too much mind. That's why that one video where you got the dancing bear in the background where you're supposed to like pay attention, I forget exactly what it is, but the whole point is when people are focused or fixated on a certain thing, they're not worried about the background too much as long as there's not any like present danger that they can sense. So as many people that are walking by you, they may have some sort of preconceived definition or description of you. I hate to say judgment because I know that society tends to lean towards the negative side when they hear the words like judgment. You can call it an assessment, but we all assess each other whether we are far or close up. Now, having people in the gray zone is perfectly okay. Like I said, most of the people are going to be in the gray area, but the next level of people are going to be in the red area. This is where still a majority of the people that you're going to come across, aside from the gray area, the ones that you know their name, most of them are probably going to be in the red area, where you do know their name, you do know what they look like. If you were in Walmart, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are the people that you would recognize them. Let's say, again, trying to draw the parallel between school or work. These are your coworkers or your classmates that you recognize them. You're in Walmart, you're going down with your buggy and you make eye contact with each other, but you don't really say shit. You know what I mean? Y'all ain't friends. Y'all ain't acquaintances. This isn't one of those like, oh, hey, what's up, Steve? How you doing? Like you know what I mean? Like his name is Steve, but only because like he's never really told you and you just heard somebody call him Steve and you remember his face or some shit like that. These people in the red zone, they would be able to point you out in the lineup, probably. Maybe not some of them, but most of them will probably be able to just point you out in the lineup. Now, the next area that we're going to look at is the yellow area, and these are where your acquaintances are. And some people, depending on how you label it, it might be a little bit different. Some people call their acquaintances their friends, and then their friends their best friends, whatever. These are going to be the people, again, let's look at it like school or your job. You see them at school, you see them at your work, and you chop it up with them. You know what I'm saying? You guys have a good time when you're there, but you're never getting any drinks after work. You know what I'm saying? You're never kicking it after school with them or anything like that. Those are your school friends. Those are your work friends. Those are your acquaintances that you see when it's convenient for you. And the way that you're really able to differentiate them from your actual friends that would be in the green zone would be, okay, if I were to leave this school, would I ever talk to them again? If I were to leave this job and go somewhere else, would I ever talk to them again? And if the answer is no, most likely you just have an acquaintance and they're in the yellow zone. Now, these people, they know more than just your name. They know more than just what you look like. These are people, you've actually had a whole bunch of interactions with them. You're enough where if you did see them in Walmart, you would say what's up to them. You would wave at them if you saw them on the street and be like, oh, it's been a long time. And then you would go about your day. These are going to be the people that you might Facebook friend or something like that, and you like each other's statuses and posts or whatever for years, but you never actually kick it. You never actually become friends and move to that next level. The last level is the green area, and this is where the fewest amount of people are going to be. This is for your close friends, your family, your significant others, whatever. This is where you're going to be able to tell them more about your vulnerabilities, give more intimate information, show things that you generally would hide from the public, you know what I'm saying? And not necessarily hide. I guess you wouldn't disclose with the public. It's one of those, hey, can you keep a secret type of things. These not only would these people be people you wave at Walmart if you saw them, but it's like, oh my God, didn't know you was gonna be here, and you might just chop it up for a minute. These are actual friends, might even be family. These are people, again, that know information about you. If somebody asked about you behind your back, and not in like some gossipy type of way, but it's like, hey, I'm about to do a project with such and such. Do you know who that is? Be like, oh yeah, that's my dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? Might start talking about you in a good way, and then depending on what type of information that they have, they're going to fill in the blanks with how they describe you and all of the different adjectives and characteristics that they would see you as to these people. Now, the people in the yellow, they might do the same thing, but they'll be like, oh yeah, so-and-so seems pretty cool, blah, 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 and they might still fill in a little bit of information that they have for you. The difference is the people in the green says, oh yeah, so-and-so is cool. The people in the yellow says, oh, so-and-so seems cool. That's the difference between an acquaintance and a friend. And the closer that you can get people into the green zone, the better it is for your brand. And you might be thinking like, XO, man, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I don't know about you, but I have a small circle. I don't have a whole bunch of friends. And, me too. That's actually the very same for me. But this isn't one of those friendship things. This is, yes, we're talking about how it can be compared to your high school reputation or your reputation at work or wherever, whatever social standing that you can relate to, right? Yes, we're trying to compare them, but these are two sides of the same coin that can still be flipped around and looked at separately. Now, when it comes to your brand, you don't need a whole bunch of friends, of course, but you do want people to look at you like they know you. And the best way that somebody feels like they know you and that they are friends with you is if you actually show some of the things and do some of the things that you would to people in the green zone. And later we're going to talk about how we can move people from the gray area over to the green area. But for now, I just kind of wanted to look at each section and kind of think about what those people know. Again, the gray area people, they don't really know anything. They kind of maybe know what you slightly look like based off of what you are dressed as, and they don't know your name. The red people know your name and what you look like, but they don't know who you are. The yellow people, they know more about who you are, but they're not friends with you. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't really be able to say without a doubt, confidently, this is who this person is. But the people in the green, those are the ones that they're like, oh yeah, so-and-so does this. They believe in that, and they're able to fill in so many blanks because you've given them so much information. Again, somebody's able to define you based off of the information that they're given. The further out they are, the less information they have. The closer in they are, the more information that you've given them and the more opportunities you've given them to, fuck with you and your brand. People judge you based on how you dress, talk, and carry yourself. They put you in a box even if they don't really know you. And we all do it. We all judge other people based on how they dress. Fuck you. Tell me you don't. Tell me you don't judge people. And I don't mean in like in a negative type of way. I know that's how society looks at it. So let's change that word. We assess people based off of how they dress, how they talk, how they look, how they carry themselves, how they present themselves to the world. And, we could look at some examples. We're looking at these two people right here. What are the first thoughts that you think of? You know, you might think of what type of things they like to do, what type of music they like to listen to, what type of personality might they have. And you're going to fill in the blanks however you would fill in the blanks. You know, that would be different than me because it's only based off of your perception. And your perception is based off of all of the different things that you've come across in your life. So, meaning if you see these people and all of your closest friends and your family, they looked and dressed exactly like them, you're going to look at them as like familiar. You're going to look at them as like friendly, cool, whatever the case is. For me personally, just to give you an example, like I see them, I'm seeing like rock music, screamo rock music. You know, he's got gauges on, and I'm guessing, I can't really see his fingers, but I would say he probably has like black fingernail polish. The girl probably has gauges as well, and some tattoos, even though I can't see any. And what's crazy is I don't know these people at all. These are just two people that decided to pose for a picture. And just based off of how they're dressed and how they present themselves, I was able to fill in the blank. Whether it's accurate or not, it doesn't really matter. And you know, you could talk about, oh, people see me a certain way, but that's not the real me. That's your fault, bro. Especially if we're talking about your brand. Like your brand, it's your responsibility. It's your duty to actually shape the narrative of your brand. So yes, I'm filling in the blanks of these people based off of what I see, whether it's accurate or not. You know what I mean? Let's say you had somebody that I don't know. They broke into your store. You're a store owner. They broke into your store and they look just like that. You know what I mean? You might look at them as like just troubled teenagers. I don't fucking know, man. What I'm saying is it's gonna change based off of your experiences. This next person right here, I'm looking at an athlete. You know, he seems like he just lost a track meet or something. You know what I'm saying? He's down on his luck. But definitely getting an athletic vibe, and you might have actually came up with your own definitions. You'd be like, oh, I wouldn't even think about that. Or what's crazy is you might have thought the same thing as me. Again, it doesn't matter if it's accurate or not. All we're doing is quickly assessing people based off of the information that we have. This next girl, I'd say she's definitely a student of some sort based off of the notebook. She's smiling really bright. She seems like, you know, she feels like her whole life is in front of her. And I don't know, she's just happy. That's just me trying to fill in the blanks based off of how she's dressed, what kind of props she has. So not just how she's dressed, but also the notebook that she had, and then her smile. Her smile made me come to the conclusion, like, you know, like her whole life is in front of her. She's not a student that's just like, oh God, I gotta go to another class. You know, she's happy about it. At least that's the vibe I got. She might be stressing and breaking down on the inside, but that's the vibe I got, and that's how I defined her based off of the information that I was provided. But the facial expressions that people have is just as important as the way that we dress. You know what I mean? Like the first time that you see somebody, depending on what their face looks like, you might come up with your own conclusions. An example with this girl right here, you know, I'm thinking friendly, kind, you know, she just heard a joke of some sort. She just is in a good mood, good spirits. These are the type of feelings that I'm getting and vibes that I'm getting just based off of her smile, a genuine smile that I'm seeing. But if you take that same girl dressed the same exact way and you give her a facial expression like this, and now I'm thinking like troubled, somebody might have, you know, pissed in her Cheerios or some shit. You know, she definitely needs to be watched. Look out for this one for sure, you know. And this is the same girl, same outfit, two different facial expressions, and depending on how I saw her or how you see her for the first time or how people see you for the first time, that's going to dictate how they define you, how they look at you, how they will later describe you if they ever have to, if somebody ever asks. And it's not like it's just happy or sad or up or down. These facial expressions go all over. You know, looking at all of these, I'm seeing goofy, I'm seeing stressed out, I'm seeing worried, I'm seeing sleepy, I'm seeing angry, I'm seeing a whole bunch of different emotions, and it's all the same girl in the same outfit. And it's not like she's a special snowflake or anything like that. You can look at this girl too, having different facial expressions, and you'll come up with different characteristics and assessments, not judgments. We're going to not use judgments, right? So it's not too negative or whatever. But we're going to assess her based off of what we see. And this is something that is really easy to understand when it comes to us as people. Like, yeah, of course, she was smiling. And of course, I'm going to see her more as a lighthearted person. And if you're over here frowning and always seeming like you're in a pissy mood, that's kind of how I'm going to look at you. Of course, that makes sense. But we don't really look at it as far as our brand. What is the facial expressions that you make in your content? It's not just like while you're doing shows or out in public or whatever. What kind of facial expressions are you doing in your pictures? Are you doing the classic nigga stoic, where you don't do any emotions? Are you constantly smiling in your videos? It's not even just a still image in your videos. What are those like quick resting faces that you're letting out? And I'm not trying to say this to have your anxiety bar going crazy, you know what I'm saying? This isn't something to overthink. The whole point of bringing this up is so that you can recognize that these are things that people are, I don't want to say using against you, but they're using to define you. They're using to characterize you and assess you, judge you, whatever word you want to say. They're using this as more and more information. Like, okay, so-and-so is dressed like that. They talk like this. They have a facial expression like that. They're starting to make a little laundry list, if that makes sense. And that's kind of what we do as people. That's how we're able to say, okay, straight line here, straight line there, and that's a square. And we kind of just characterize things, shapes, people, animals, all of these different things, words, and that's how we're able to make sense of the world around us. What you do matters. If you're a musician, athlete, or have any other interests, that'll define you in people's minds, especially if they don't really know you. There's a reason why when somebody meets someone else, a typical first question that people have is, hey, what do you do? It's a way that we're able to characterize somebody. Again, a lot of this is using the same words because we're doing the same thing. We're just using other bits of information. And here's just another one. Just like how we look at how you dress, how you talk, how you look, what you do plays a part in the way that people define you. And yes, how you dress does play a part, and this might seem the same, but it's just similar. It's not. It's a little bit different because what you do sometimes will come with a uniform. And what do I mean by that? Yes, I could mean a specific uniform like like you're at a job and you have a uniform and they're forced to put on a material uniform. But it could also mean like a type of outfit, a type of vibe, a type of style that kind of shows who you are. And you don't need to know what somebody specifically looks like. You don't need to know their name. You don't really need to know much more than, oh, I could tell that this person does this. And then that will help you fill in the blanks with all of these other things. And if we look at some examples, we see this person right here, even though it's a silhouette, I guess the music notes kind of help with this, but I'm definitely seeing a musician. If the music notes weren't there, I'm seeing a speaker of some sort, somebody on the stage that is presenting. But obviously with the music notes, this looks like a musician. I don't need to see what they look like other than that. I see all that I need to see just based off of what they do, based off of the props that they have around them. In this next silhouette, I don't see what they look like. I don't see their skin tone or anything like that. All I see is, that's a football player. And that's how powerful it is just looking at the uniform that you have. And the uniform is nothing but something that shows other people what you do. You know what I mean? Like I said, something like this, a football player, you almost have to wear your uniform. You have to wear the jersey to play. But a musician might do things like, for me, an example, I have a microphone right here on my inside of my arm tattooed. And since I've gotten that, and honestly, ever since then, people will see it and they'll be like, oh, you do music? It's one of those things where it's like, all right, it's a uniform that I decided to put on myself, and a football player will decide to put on that uniform, be part of the team, and you don't need to see who they are underneath that. And if you even try, what's crazy is if I said something like, okay, what is the color of their jersey? What color did you think of? What was the first color that you thought of? Is the football player, are they big? Are they fast? Are they like a big football player that's on the line? You know what I mean? You were able to fill in all these blanks based off of how you see a football player. And it's kind of hard because the more you think about it, the more you catch yourself intentionally characterizing him a certain way. So it's almost like one of those, hey, what's the first thing you thought of? Hey, when you thought football player, what did you think of? Like, what kind of personality does a football player have? It's just like that first thought. Because then you might go to correct and be like, but factually, I don't really know. Yeah, but what's that first thought? And that's why so many of these definitions that people have, especially in the gray area, are just based in the subconscious area. You know what I mean? Like, we're not consciously thinking like, oh yeah, that football player right there is probably like 6'3", wide receiver. You know what I mean? Like, because that's how I see a football player is you're catching the ball. But maybe because I caught the ball when I played football, but maybe you ran, maybe you were on the line, maybe it was none of the above, and you were bullied when you were in school by a football player. So you see this silhouette and you're like, man, I don't know who they are. I don't know what color jersey they have or whatever the fuck, but he's probably an asshole because football players are assholes. And that's just kind of how the world works. This next one, it looks like a student that just graduated, maybe high school or college. I see curly hair, so they're probably black or mixed. We got a construction worker. I mean, I can't see a face. I don't see a nose. I don't see eyes. I see nothing at all. But that hat tells me that you're a construction worker. And again, based off of what your experiences were in life is how you're going to define this person. Let's say, you know what I mean, you had a dad that was an alcoholic. And I don't know why I keep going like down the dark roads, but let's say you have an alcoholic dad, right? And he would come home drunk every single day and he would beat your ass. And he was also a construction worker. So you see a silhouette like that and you just instantly just get triggered and you're like, oh, fucking drunk bitch. You know what I mean? Like you really don't know who they are. All you could do is judge them based off of the information you have. Looking at this motorcyclist right here, I mean, I'm assuming they ride a motorcycle, but who's to say they don't ride what do they call it? Like a scooter or a moped or whatever. You know, who's to say? I said motorcycle. What did you think? I mean, you might have thought motorcycle too, but you might have been like, man, my brother got a scooter and he wears that helmet. And that's what you thought. Now, if I asked you, what color is the helmet? What color did you think? I thought black. I think I see all black with the tinted out visor right there, but that's just because that's what I saw. Or maybe you saw your favorite color. Again, the only point I'm trying to prove with that is that we don't really need to know anything else other than the surface level of information. We see kind of how you dress, kind of how you talk, kind of how your facial expression is, kind of what your uniform is, what you wear. And we can have all of these assumptions and preconceived notions in our head about who that person is. And anytime you see a majority of people doing that, it would be like egotistical and narcissistic to think that people aren't doing the same thing to you. If you think that somebody isn't just taking one quick look at you and judging you, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry. Like, I got tattoos on my face. If you think that I don't go into the store every now and again and I see the owner just look at me, side-eyeing me and shit like that, I understand. Like, I get it. But it would be really weird if I was just like, nah, man, like, you better not judge me based off of what you see. Like, you should see more of who I am. And, like, you start getting weird. It's like, bro, but you don't. You judge other people. I'm sorry. Is that too harsh? We can't say judge, right? You assess other people. You characterize other people based off of the smallest bits of information. Who you are as a person shapes your brand and reputation, just like in school. If you're an asshole, word gets around fast, and people treat you that way. If you're known to be funny, people will expect to laugh or smile when you talk because that's what they've learned to expect. You could probably think of somebody that makes you laugh, and anytime they go to talk, like for me, it's Kevin Hart. Like, bro makes me laugh so much. As soon as he goes to start talking, I'm just like smiling. Like, I catch myself smiling. Like, okay, well, what we about to laugh about? You feel me? And the same thing goes with people you don't like. You know, if you see somebody that's always mean and rude, and they come up and they, you know, they're usually on that rah-rah shit, they could be doing the most normal thing, and then you still just kind of like side-eyeing them, looking at them some type of way. Like, man, this motherfucker, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to look at them some type of way based off of your past interactions. And what's crazy is you could have one person that acts the same way with two different people, and both of these people are going to characterize them in two different ways. While one side calls you nice or friendly, the other side could just call you a pushover. You got one side that calls you smart or intelligent, and the other side just thinks you're a know-it-all. You might be looked at as funny or, real goofy or something like that. And then the other side just looks at you as a mean and rude person that just takes it way too far. And even though, yes, people will judge you based off of your personality traits, and even though you can have one side completely think that you're a cool person and the other side just think you're an asshole, it's okay. The whole point of a lot of this is just to be self-aware, to be aware not only of how other people judge you, but be aware of how you present yourself. That way, if anything, if somebody's just like, man, you an asshole, you can kind of just stand next to how you are and be like, yep, I mean, you might think so. That's cool. Like, I'll be all right. Who you hang around with affects how people see you. This is as true for you as it is for your brand. That's why brands drop celebrities who get into trouble. I've talked shit about this saying multiple times, but that phrase, don't judge a book by its cover, man, it's so fucking stupid, and it's the complete opposite of what anybody does. I don't know why you would ever ask anybody not to judge a book based off of its cover, because that's just kind of what we're instinctually trained to do. You know what I mean? We're trained to kind of look at everything and not judge, but assess, right? We have to assess if that's a danger over there. We have to assess if there's any threats over there. This is how the cavemen were able to survive, and, eventually here we are. But this isn't as serious of a situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like we're sitting there having to assess threats constantly, making sure there's no wolves in the dark or anything. But that little switch in our brain that has us constantly assessing things, constantly, again, organizing them and characterizing things, that it's really hard to switch off. How do you not judge a book based off of its cover? If you were to go in the library and all you saw was the cover, what are you going to judge it based off of? It sounds really sad, and I'm so sorry if this hurts your feelings, but the best story is able to go unread if it's underneath the ugliest cover, the most unappealing cover, the most I don't want to open this cover. You can have the best story. It doesn't fucking matter, because people are going to judge you based off of how you present yourself. You could be the best employee ever, but if you go into an interview with, like a wife beater with like some mustard stains, you feel me? You got no shoes, just a hole in your sock, and you know what I'm saying? You just come up there like a bum. Do you think you're going to get hired? If you're like, man, nah, if you just give me a shot, like I'm the best worker ever, what the fuck ever, man, you are not getting that job. Like, it's not realistic. And again, people are able to see this with stuff like that. They're able to wrap their heads around it with stuff like that. But when it comes down to the people we hang around, again, companies will drop a celebrity if they start getting into trouble. You know what I mean? Like, even if like it hasn't been proven or anything, it's just like, oh, y'all talking all this shit. Fuck them, because we are not with them. We ain't with nobody. We with us. Brands and companies are so quick to do that. Why do you think that is? It's because just like how we judge books based off of covers, we judge people based off of who they are around. And I don't look at that as a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, if a teacher were to walk into a classroom and they have 30 students in there, 2 of them are doing nothing at all. But you got 28 kids going crazy, ape shit, talking shit, yelling, going all bouncing off the walls and shit. Do you think that teacher's like, man, I got 28 kids in here that are just crazy, and I got 2 perfectly good angels? No, they're probably thinking in their head, man, this classroom has lost its fucking mind. Like, you know what I mean? They're going to generalize the whole entire classroom. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to judge every child in there based off of what they see, the information that they're given. And to really drive this home for you, I look at judging somebody based off of who they have around them the same way as you would judge a word that you don't know what it means. And we're just assuming that you're not going to go to Google and search this shit. But if you don't know a word, just like if you don't know a person, and they're around all of these other people, or they're around all these other words, and you wanted to learn what this word meant, you would read all of the words around them, and you would use the context clues around that word and try to guesstimate or figure out what that word actually means. And yes, you could always just go and, search on Google or whatever. But if you're using context clues, that's what you got. It's not like you can just see somebody and be like, hey, let me go Google search them. You know what I mean? Like, you're just going to make a quick judgment based off of who they are, how they dress, how they look, and who they're around. Most people understand how their reputation works in school or at work, but when it comes to branding, they get lost. If you were on an interview or you're on a first date, you just met somebody, whatever the case is, you probably would have no problem if they asked you questions like, "Hey, what do you like to do? What are some of the things that you're passionate about? What do you like to talk about? What are some of the things that you believe in?" You'd probably be able to fill in these blanks fairly easily without overthinking about it. As long as you have some sort of self-awareness and you kind of know who you are and what you stand for. That is super important. Just full disclosure, you need that shit. I guess you don't need, but it is truly helpful to authentically be yourself if you know who you are authentically. But yeah, man, so if somebody asked you these things on an interview, in a first date, or any other personal situation, you probably would have no problem answering. But when it comes time to define your brand, that's where a lot of artists get stuck. It's when it's like, okay, well, I got this color palette right here, and I got this dope logo right here, and that's my brand, right? That's kind of all I know. And the sad part is, looking at your brand like that is the same way as you looking at your shoelaces as your outfit or your tire as your car. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a small little piece of the puzzle, my guy. And one of the easiest things, this isn't some company, this isn't some corporation where you slap a logo, you slap a mission statement and a color scheme, and you just say, "Oh, here's my brand. This is why you don't stand out. This is why," and by you, I mean anybody that follows this type of branding. Nobody talks like that. Nobody's like, "Hey, who are you as a brand?" It's just like, "Oh, here are my colors, here's my logo." It's like, the fuck? It's just so much easier to say, "Hey, like who are you? Like what do you like to do? What do you believe in?" And the day that this became a lot easier for me was the day that I realized that these two brands, both my personal and real life, and all of the different aesthetics and logo, color, whatever the fuck I was thinking with my brand before, all of these things go together. Yes, have a logo. Yes, have a color scheme. Have like a font that you like to use. Have some sort of, like, these are all like small little details where people can just kind of recognize your brand. But the meat and potatoes of your brand is you. That is the part that can't be replicated. Anybody could take those same colors and then copy that. Anybody could take your logo, make a better version of it, and be like, "Damn, now they got a more fire version of me," and you be all salty and shit. It's because you thought your brand was your logo. When it's like, no, you are the brand and your logo is just a part of it. Like, you feel me? Like, that's just something. And for the most part, nobody even really fucking cares about your logo. I hate to say it. Nobody really cares about what colors you choose. I hate to say it. I'm not saying that they're unimportant. I'm saying compared to the meat and potatoes of your meal, bruh, you're just eating the crumbs. Like, you're just focused on the shit that's falling off the side of the plate when you're not even focused on cleaning your plate. You feel me? Like, I don't know. That analogy kind of got lost on me, but you know what I'm trying to say. Just like you can go unnoticed in school or at work by keeping to yourself, the same thing happens with your brand. If you stay silent, your brand stays invisible. And kind of thinking back, to school or a job, any type of social settings like that, this might have been you, or you might be able to think of somebody that was more shy, more reserved, kind of kept to themselves, never really talked to anybody, never really opened up or anything like that. There is the loner that kind of sticks to themselves and they don't really see anybody. And even though they feel like they don't share anything, people are still going to be around them, judging them constantly, defining them constantly. They're going to come up with their own definitions, their own descriptions and judgments based off of the information that they have. And the loner that is by themselves, of course, is going to be different than the loner that kind of kicks it with other loners and they're just on the wall chilling. You know what I'm saying? So they're not really alone. They're just like alone together. That, I guess, could be a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? Thinking of it as a branding perspective. You can position yourself as a brand that's like, I'm the loner, emo kid, whatever the fuck you want to go with. I'm not going with that. My whole point is being the loner that's actually alone. Being the loner that actually doesn't say anything to anybody, that doesn't share anything with anybody. How that looks in real life, you have no friends, you stay by yourself, you get judged anyways, even though you never shared anything because probably you were too scared of being judged. But again, you get judged anyways. But that's real life, right? And if you're done with school, who fucking cares, right? Let's think about what really matters, your brand. As an artist, how does that look? If you're the loner that doesn't really talk to anybody, doesn't really share anything with anybody, nobody really knows you, you're the enigma, the mystery, that's cool. That's cool, except nobody really thinks about you. How that looks on social media is you just got no posts. You never really get mentioned because you never really mention shit. In school, you could be known by many people on the surface level and fail to ever form a deeper connection than that. It's the same with branding. An artist can manage to get noticed and still fail to connect with an audience by showing deeper, more personal sides. And I told you that we was going to talk about how you could bring people from the gray area all the way to the green area. You know, how do you speed that process up? How do you make people feel like they can go from complete strangers, then they feel like they know you, where if they ever did meet you in real life, they're like, man, like this is my dog right here. Like this is my friend. Like, you know, I could go up and talk to you and it not feel weird and not feel like I'm just talking to a complete fucking stranger. And we already defined the different areas, like the gray area, the red, the yellow, the green. And now we're going to look at this from like a reverse engineering type of standpoint. You know, how can we give certain information to speed up this process? So layer one, of course, you could just show how you look, show who you're around. And it seems real simple, but again, that loner that never posts anything on social media, this is that first step that will help people start to get more information. Let them start filling in these blanks. Layer two, you're sharing what you do, you're sharing your name, you know, you're putting more posts out there. Again, this is kind of thinking about it from an online perspective, but this could work in real life too. Like this, there's so many different similarities. I'm just trying to, I know most artists are going to be building their brand online. So it's almost better to kind of look at it from that standpoint. Layer three, you're going to start sharing your beliefs and your personality traits. These are things that people are going to love to see. They're going to see you more as a person. You know, they're seeing what you actually stand for. And it doesn't have to be the most controversial things. I'm not talking about, you go talk about like politics and religion and I don't know, like abortion rights and shit like that. You don't have to talk about anything controversial like that, but you still have beliefs that you stand by. You still have things that you feel and things that you can say. You know what I mean? Like you're a person. Show your whole size. Show that you're more than just an artist. And the last layer is layer four, where you show who you are. And the way you show who you are is honestly just by repeating all of the last layers over and over and over consistently. People see you differently based on their perspective. The same goes for your brand. Good branding allows you to effortlessly attract people who will love you and repel the people who won't. The point of building a brand isn't to be loved by everybody. If you are building a brand trying to be loved by everybody, or somebody told you that that's what you should try to do, honestly, like you're playing the wrong game. You're trying to scale a mountain that has no fucking top. Like you're just going to keep going. It's impossible to be loved by everybody. And to kind of think of like an extreme example, let's think about Donald Trump. You know, I live in the United States. Half of my country hates him. Half of my country loves him. You know what I mean? It's something that he has gotten people to super attract to him or super repel from him. And it's because he's putting more information out there. It was never his goal to be liked by everybody. It should never be anybody's goal to be liked by everybody, because what's going to end up happening is you're going to be liked by no one. Because again, let's look at it as like a product standpoint, right? Let's say I'm going into the store and I get a product. Cool, this is a product just for me. Even though I love this product and I would use this product every single day, there's going to be people that come into this store and they never even look at this product. Like people in the gray area. There's going to be people that look at the product, but they don't really need the product. They're not really interested in the product. It's not really something that's helpful for them, and they never use it. Now, if this company that was selling this product, if they're like, yeah, we're getting people in, but not everybody likes us, not everybody is interested in us, and they just started changing what their product was. And now they've geared more towards the people that didn't really like them, that wasn't really interested. Now they have a product perfect for them. That seems cool, right? Except when I go in and I go to buy their product, and just all the people that are just like me going to buy this product. Now we're going to see a product that isn't what we originally liked. It isn't what we originally signed up for. And now we're going to see like, oh, now you're just making products for them. Like I don't know what you stand on. And seeing this as a person is, okay, buddy said he like this and now he's all like that. It's like, man, he's fake as fuck. Like that ain't real. Like if anything, I can respect somebody that does something I don't like, but they stand next to it. You know what I mean? Like if you go and take a fucking shit, like stand next to your shit. You know what I mean? With your arms crossed, like, yeah, smell it. You know what I mean? Like, what? Like, I don't know. I don't understand the idea of wanting to be liked by everybody, because again, it's one of those things where it's out of fear of not being liked. So you do these hula hoops, gymnastics, where you're flipping around being this way to this person, this way to this person, and instead of a two-face motherfucker, you got like many faces. And when they finally all kind of get together and I'm like, wait, that's how they are with you? I thought he was like this. Oh shit, I thought they was like this. Oh, and now all of them end up stop fucking with you. So the thing that you were scared of, the thing that you were trying to avoid, you end up getting that times however many, just because you weren't yourself and stand next to it. And that's why self-awareness is so important, because if you don't know who you are, it's really hard to stand up for what you believe in. And I'm not saying this in a way like you can never change. You have to be rigid. If I say I believe this, it's stuck like that. No, like, I mean, openly be like, hey, I did believe this. I got new information and now I believe that. Hey, I was interested in this. I kind of fell off. I'm interested in that. You know, that's the natural evolution of a person. Are people going to fall off from that? Yeah. They probably will, but that's okay. That's the natural progression of your brand. The key to shaping your brand and influencing how people see it is self-awareness. Once you know what you stand for and what you believe in, you can use it as your guide. The last thing you want to do is give somebody a pen and let them write your story. You know, you don't want to give somebody a microphone and let them narrate your life. You want to take control of the narrative of your brand. And the simplest way to do that is just consistency. Consistently be authentically you. Tell people about the things that you like to do outside of your music. Yes, you're a musician. Yes, you're an artist. What other things do you like? Show that you're more than just a jukebox. That was my mistake. I was thinking like, man, I gotta be professional. I gotta be just the artist. Show what other things you like to do. Talk about things that you ordinarily like to talk about, things that naturally have you interested, naturally have you passionate about it. Speak on things that you actually believe in. And you know, this could be a variety of things. Like I said, it doesn't have to be controversial. It doesn't have to be some big, oh, are you on the red or the blue? Are you Christian or are you whatever the fuck? You know what I mean? Like you don't have to do these big controversies. You could just say, hey, I believe in this. I believe that this should be how, you know, this is what my diet is. This is how I meditate. This is how I, whatever the fuck. I don't know who you are. You know what I mean? Like fill in your blanks. Don't let other people fill in the blanks. That's how you get people from the gray zone all the way to the green zone. Because again, just like fucking Donald Trump, people can love him or hate him. He's just putting it all out there. And that's what so many people are scared to do. And I think that's what so many artists are letting hold themselves back. They're not putting themselves out there. They're so scared that they might be judged, that they might lose fans, that they might fuck up their branding because they can never change it when it's just a fluid thing. It's just like you. If you were a football player in high school, you don't have to be a football player all your life. If you were, you know what I'm saying, like on the fucking debate team, you don't have to always debate the rest of your life. If you had anger issues in high school or at one of your first jobs or whatever, you can work on that and become a person that isn't angry all the time, that doesn't have anger issues. And then later, people will be able to judge you and define you, characterize you, assess you, whatever words you want to say. They'll be able to do that based off of what they see then. You don't have to stay who you were. You can just show how you transform. You can show how you evolve. My point is, these examples are everywhere. Whether you look at celebrities, whether you look at high school reputation, your reputation at your job, whatever. Branding is simple. Branding is easy. It's as easy and simple as breathing.